What's going on, everybody? The video you're about to watch is the entire full breakdown of two cinematic short films that were shot on both the iPhone XR and the new iPhone 17 Pro Max, or whatever it's called. Now, this was actually shot as a competition between me and a friend of mine, and you can watch the full video here first. That's probably what you should do. But if you have, or you're just looking to see a cinematic video comparison between the XR and like the iPhone 17 Pro, then you are in the right place, and let's just get right to the video. Thanks.
All right, so I've been tasked with judging these two short films to see who is the most cinematic. All right, let's start with Jason's. It's a powerful quote. Great way to start this. Wow, I love this. This really sets the mood. I will say the animation for this quote going off the screen is a little bit too bubbly and quick for the content of what's about to be shown. I would have probably just had it fade off. Yeah, and great establishing shot here. It's so important with any sort of narrative story that you set the scene and you let the person viewing know where you are and where this is taking place. So I love that. The quality of this is quite good. Now, Jason, this is challenging to do. Any camera is going to struggle in low light to some degree. Now with a phone, you know, as advanced as all these new phones are, they just can't compete with a high-end cinema camera because you can't physically fit a large sensor into these phones. So a lot of them rely on post-processing within the phone to actually make night shots look good. However, this looks pretty good. You can see a decent amount of graininess though, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, grain, we always try to shy away from grain, but in reality, it can add character too. There's nothing wrong with grain. The only other thing I have to say about this establishing shot is in regards to the framing. There's a lot going on in the background behind him. Obviously, there's some cars driving by, but in particular, it's these trees that I'm more concerned about. If he could have framed this up in a way so that these were not detracting from the subject, I think this would make it a lot cleaner of a shot. However, I love this tree. This tree right here frames him so nicely. It's overarching him. It's making things seem closed in, which the subject matter of this scene is him feeling small. He's feeling diminished. He's in a crisis. So I like this tree here. However, I think another location could have been better for this, but this one could have been improved by just maybe moving the camera slightly in a different direction. Yeah, like I'm even seeing a lot of open space over here. So if this were to be rotated just slightly, that could have helped. Or even if he was sitting up against this stone wastebasket, that would make him feel even more diminished. I think there were alternate ways to frame this to get a little bit more isolation for the subject and not detract from him. This close-up is incredible. I mean, look at this. Look at all that detail in that beard. It's a pretty good beard, by the way. And even the cigarette burning, I mean, I'm seeing like a lot of detail preserved in these highlights here. Yeah, this is overall, this is just a really well exposed shot. Getting a lot of detail in the shadows, even in the background, which is slightly blurred. And in the darker parts of your beard. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. It looks better than I would have expected. Seeing a little bit of weird focus issues going on. You know, like there's just one or two frames here where it just struggles for a second. I mean, you can see in the back at these bokeh spheres. Look at that. 1, 2. It just like glitched out for a second. I don't know what's going on there. And then we have the focus pull from the face to the cigarette. Is this a real cigarette? I don't think you composited this. Yeah, it's too much motion blur and stuff that would be a little bit more difficult to pull off. Not that you can't, but it would have been annoying. Given the subject matter, if he was able to have some sort of control over this focus pull, I would suggest making that a little bit slower. I don't know how much leeway there is on these iPhones though. And this beard of his highlights a lot of the clarity that this phone is capable of. Wow. Pretty amazing. And it's struggling in the low light, but what camera doesn't? Yeah, and you know, a lot of phones wouldn't be able to catch this detail of the thin, wispy smoke going through the wind. It's really beautiful, adds a lot. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I'm impressed with the quality of this shot. I mean, the colors are pretty nice, and dynamic range is what I'm most impressed with on this. Curious, I'm guessing you filmed this on in ProRes log, something like that, so that you can retain a lot of that information. Slight issue here. I'm noticing that your face is a significantly different exposure than in this shot. We've got some very bright highlights here on your face and even more harsh shadows. So I don't know if you brought your own lights and you just moved it closer for this, or if just the exposure wasn't quite there. Because the background looks exactly the same. So I don't know exactly what's going on here, but. I really like the sigh. I like the sigh. It just pulls you a little bit too low in the frame for a few seconds. Yeah, if we got our thirds turned on here, you can see we've really got this upper third and then you sink down and right into the middle. So just the shot overall feels a little unbalanced towards the end. So I either would have pulled out or preferably I like the close-up. I would have just sighed a little bit less and put more of the motion in the face rather than hyper-pronounced body language. And I like the look up. Good continuity between those shots. And the lights are the same. The traffic lights are the same. That's difficult in scenarios like this where you're filming on a street with especially traffic lights, because one shot to the next, it could be red and then it could be green. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that throughout the rest of this video. Yeah, you're looking up and then you look up there. Very nice. I would have liked to see what you were looking up at, if it had meaning. I'm not sure yet. I could have used another close-up right here of you shaking your head, because this seems like a deeply vulnerable moment and I would have liked to see more of that emotion on your face. So I could have used a close-up there. Nice sound design, the bottle clicking off. It sounded well balanced. It wasn't taking me out of it. Ah, we've got our first continuity problem. Traffic light red, traffic light green. Now the movement of the bottle is perfect. But yeah, this is just an issue with that. Because the cars, that could also present potential continuity problems. In this particular case, the car goes behind you, and then on the next shot, theoretically the car would still be behind your head, so that's not quite as big of an issue. But the traffic lights are more of an issue there. Not bad. Now you could have comped that and changed the traffic lights to be what they may, because I'm assuming that you had plenty of footage of this particular shot, so you could have masked out the bottle and then replaced the background with those other traffic lights, with the red traffic lights. So that'd be a lot more work than you're probably bargaining for, but it's tricky filming in these types of locations. Okay. Swig there. What do we got going on here? We got a slight lens flares in here. It's not taking me out of it, so that's fine. It's those little things that help this whole thing meld together. Just a subtle tap of the bottle on the ground. Well done. Yeah, because this whole thing doesn't need a lot of sound design. I mean, there's not a lot of happening. It's more introspective type work going on. So you don't need big whooshes and sub drops and all that kind of stuff. So well done. Subtle sound design is often the best sound design. The best sound design is the sound design you don't notice. I only notice it because I'm looking out for it, so it still holds true. Ah, same thing here. Perfect little swipe there. This shot is bothering me a little bit just because it's so off kilter. That could be an artistic choice because of the subject matter of this film. It's deeply introspective, and you're going through a hard time. So having a few shots that are akin to a Dutch angle could help add to that mood. So not necessarily going to nitpick that, but this shot almost just begs for this symmetry. I mean, it's creative. I think it was a creative shot choice, shooting from behind the stone bench and seeing you pick that up. Very cool. Good creativity. Nice man. Okay, reading it. Could use another close-up there. The shot just lingers a little bit too long. Yeah, I want to see that reaction of you reading this, and that way I can understand as a viewer. I can see that you're troubled from this wide shot, but I want to see those micro expressions of your face. I want to be able to read that. And the cool thing about like this phone that you're using is it can capture all that. I mean, this looks incredible. You really challenged yourself by doing this at night. Like, you pushed the capabilities of this thing. And I think that's to be commended. Like, this is not an easy scene to film. So well done. Used a nice J cut for the audio here. It just comes in a little too sharply. And I would have this fade in a little bit more slowly, the sound, maybe start a little bit earlier. You've basically got a J cut going on here with the audio sneaking in first, which is perfect. It's exactly what you need to do. That's the perfect kind of thing that can help bridge a scene like this to us being in your own mind, because it's such a different concept going on. So guys, J and L cuts are your best friends. If you ever feel like your footage is getting a little bit too jagged and everything just feels like it's coming at you and in your face, even the subtlest of J and L cuts can really help to smooth things over. Thank you for using a J cut here. That makes a huge difference. Transition wise, this transition is just a little too quick. I mean, this is such a moody film. I could have used a slower transition into that. And slight issue here, you have different aspect ratios. So we've got slight bars here at the bottom, and then the transition is the first evidence that we have something else going on, and then it goes to full screen. So the full DCI 4096 2160 aspect ratio. Either you need to zoom all this in just a little bit, which is kind of nice because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to adjust up or down. Now you don't have any movement going on in these main shots. It's all static, it's on sticks. So you're not gonna have much of an issue there because you framed it how you wanted to frame it to begin with. But that's just one thing I noticed here. I love the zoom blur around the edges. It really conveys that we're in your mind, you know, reflecting on these past experiences you've had with your daughter. Ah, man, these shots look so good. Wow. Okay, pushing down this swing. This is just a perfectly exposed shot. I mean, look, I'm not seeing any clipping going on, like not in the whites or the blacks. Color is pretty good. I see a lot of detail in this. It's ironic because you probably tried the least on these shots and they happen to look the best. Yeah, look at all this right in the middle. Yeah, it's a beautiful waveform, Jason. Beautiful, nicely done. So cool. And this is just gorgeous. I mean, this out of focus dandelion in the foreground. And it's even more accentuated by this zoom blur ring on the outside, so very cool. Yeah, and just the rim light from the sun on here. I mean, this is just purely natural lighting. We're getting all this great edge light here. This might be one of the best shots. I take that back on the other one. Also because of the subject matter, I mean, just a dad playing with their kid out in the middle of a field on a nice sunny day. Like, it doesn't get more wholesome than that. I mean, this adds a lot. This adds a lot. Now, let's see. I'm not seeing much motion blur, so I'm guessing yeah, I'm not seeing any motion blur at all. So I'm guessing this was just more done on auto. Because anytime you're shooting outside in bright sunlight with a phone, any phone, it's going to crank that shutter speed quite a bit and really freeze all of that motion. So, which doesn't bother me, which makes sense. It's like you're not gonna set up a perfectly exposed shot with the correct shutter and all that stuff when you're just out having a good time with your kid. But yeah, still, even that, if this was done on auto on the iPhone, just like the native video recording, like that's pretty impressive. You know, this shot is so powerful within the context of this film that I don't care about any of that. I don't care that it's off kilter and tilted a little. I don't care that there's no motion blur. It's just such a beautiful moment between a father and his daughter. And that speaks volumes more than what you could ever do technically with a phone. That's a powerful shot too. Wow. It really puts things into context that if you continue down this path of alcohol and cigarette use, that everything you know and love might disappear, might not be there. So, wow. That's powerful. I like that shot. This shot is really powerful for the context as well, given that it ends with a message from God, essentially. So this is our first introduction to being spoken to spiritually. So this is a much needed shot. I mean, the fact that you placed this in here shows a lot of thought and work went into planning this. So kudos to you. I mean, it's beautiful. As far as technically, this looks like it was done on auto settings because I'm seeing a significant exposure shift here. We see all of this is blown out. Yeah, and then when it shifts, we get a little bit more detail preserved in this wood grain. Still a little bit blown out in the hand though. So overall, there's really not much you could have done with this in post. It's just the situation of shooting. I would suggest maybe bringing your own lights in for this shot because it's such a powerful shot. Like I wouldn't want the technicality of the exposure to distract from what this shot means. And again, the transition out of this is just too quick for the mood. And then we go back into that other aspect ratio. So that's another thing that will make the transition even more jagged is we're going into different aspect ratios here. So it's quick. We go into the other aspect ratio, so that makes it a little bit more kilted. Is that the right use of that word? I have no idea. Oh, and you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, with these traffic lights in the background, that red going to green, if that were used at the end to signify like it's go time, you know, it's time to move forward with your life and take the green light, that could have been an interesting, subtle message there. It's like everything stopped and then go. You've got the green light. Take charge of your life. It's tricky. Yeah, you'd have to do a lot of masking and things like that because we're seeing even the reflections of these traffic lights coming all the way up to here. Well, that might be a product of the lens. Yeah, I doubt it's unless there's reflectors on the ground, I just don't know. Nice. Okay, so I was wondering what was happening when you brought it up, and we have the sound design to inform us of that. So we get the bottle click. Nice, Jason. So we've got the bottle being poured here. It appears to be on the right third exactly. And then the bottle itself is really almost off screen. So I would have said to just move everything over, you know, get the bottle on this third, get the pouring on this third. Had a nice balance there. But other than that, I think the shot itself looks great. I mean, it's capturing these reflections quite nice. Getting a lot of detail in those reflections, even in this dark environment. I mean, yeah, it's grainy, but any camera is going to struggle with this. And the fact that this is a phone shooting in low light, it's impressive. And the thing is, grain and noise does not inherently mean bad footage. Grain and noise can add a lot of character to things. I mean, just look at some of the old films with all that grain. It's just, that's part of it. It's part of that character. And with something like this, I am not at all taken away from the message of this film because there's some grain. Okay, interesting. And this is the first time that we're introduced to the light character, or God, if you will. But in the context of God being the light. It might be helpful to have included a shot like this towards the beginning. For instance, when you look up here, it would have been helpful to see you look up at the light, you ignore the light's message, take another swig, you get harmed by it, realize it's not good, and you finally receive the light's message. Makes you reflect, which is why I love this sequence even more, ending on this cross, and I believe that's a rosary in the background, because it makes you realize that that was God speaking to you, and you need to listen. So then you pour it out, you realize you've message received, and then us, the viewer, sees the light, and then we get the subtle pan down to God's message. So cool, man. Only thing technically I would say, this is the first time we've gotten movement in these main scene shots. I try to think about these things from a comparison perspective. This entire time throughout this short film, we have not seen any camera movement. We've had everything on sticks, everything's been locked off. So this is the first movement that we've gotten of a shot. So any movement can be a little bit jarring if we're not expecting that. So it's our job to sort of soften that and make it go down a little bit easier. So if panning down into this next shot could have helped that not seem so jarring. I like it though. I like it. It's very cool. Yeah, but yeah, very nice lens flares here. Interesting to see how they take form on these iPhones. You know, I don't necessarily like the shapes that we have going on here, but that's just due to the lens elements of phones. Everything's so tiny. You can't get these nice giant circular bokehs going on all the time, you know? Ah, and I just noticed you're still back there. Wait. That's you, right? Who's doing the panning? Did you have someone helping you? Yeah, that's you. So you did have someone helping you. Okay. All right, interesting. Whenever you just found a stranger on the street, you're like, hey, can you just pan this down for me? I've done that plenty of times. I'm like, can you just hold this camera and point it at me? I've got it all set up. And then usually they don't steal it. Yeah, and I love cutting to this close up so that we can truly see clearly this message from God. So just really well done, Jason. Wow, what a great film you've made. I could see this being played at AA meetings or anyone that's struggling in the moment that's looking to make a change. Like, this film could really move people, and that's all you can really ask for from a good film. So excellent job. This is amazing. And the fact that this was an iPhone, even cooler, because the quote at the beginning starts it all off in such a meaningful way. 22 million people in recovery. Each one started by saying, enough. I can't think of a better way to start this film, Jason. So, story points for you. Holy crap, this was so good. There wasn't a single shot in here that wasn't adding to the story. And that's all you can really ask for from a great film. It said something, it was deeply personal to you and your story. I love it. Man, this was incredible. And this is even more meaningful coming from you, because this was a journey that you were on or still are on. And I think this is very powerful. Well done. All right, let's see what Joseph's got with his dinosaur of a phone. Honestly, I don't even know what to expect here. I love this shot. Wow. The speed ramp is quite nice. It really hooks me from the very beginning. I'm getting some decent motion blur here, so I can tell you've got the appropriate shutter speed. I can tell you're likely using an ND filter on your phone because you've got this nice motion blur going on. There's a little bit of clipping going on in the blacks. Take that back. A lot of clipping, losing a decent amount of detail, especially up here. That's fine though. The overall shot does not bother me. Like, let's take a look at this. And yeah. Seeing a lot of flatlining here. And yeah, I guess some clipping going on with these highlights too, with these whites. But it's not bad overall. Because I'm getting detail in the clouds here, it kind of tricks me. Time is short. Time is short. Nice continuity of motion. Yeah, when you do have motion, it's so important that we keep that motion going in some sort of way to make it meaningful, so that we don't jar the viewer. Yeah, wow. Very nice.
Every one of us here has been...
Cool.
Every one of...
You got good sound design complementing this motion.
Every one of us here has been given the... Every one of us here has been given...
Yeah, and it goes straight in. And this is an acceptable time to have a different motion path between two shots, because you've been moving this whole time. So this new upwards motion path is fine. If you wanted to make it just slightly smoother, you could have rotated this shot just a little bit this way and then gone up, like started and zoomed in a little bit more. And you've got the cinema bar, so you have that flexibility to be able to do that. If you just wanted to really smooth it out.
Every one of us here has been given the same amount of time in a day.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Gosh, what a gorgeous shot. I cannot believe that you shot this on like the iPhone 2 or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I just know it's a dinosaur.
Time in a day.
It's just not fair. Cool. Oh, wow. Nice. I see what you did there, Joseph. I see what you did. And what another great example of blending two shots with motion together. So it would have been enough to just go into this shot exactly like that. But you masked out this light pole from the next shot, and it smoothly wipes over. Well done, man. It's those little things. I mean, it takes slightly more time to do that sort of thing, but it's the thing that can glue it together and just make it feel more harmonious within itself. Okay, I like this reversal of motion going on here. That's cool. I could have used some sort of sound design element to help that go down a little bit easier. It feels a little random. But that's nice. Wow. Man, it just seems like the theme of this is motion. I love it. Very nice. I see some more masking going on here. Man, Joseph, the king of wipes over here. I don't really like the sound of that, but let's just say king of wipes. King of masks? King of masks. Yeah, man, very cool.
Every morning we have 86.
A little bit of jitter going on here, but these shots are so difficult to do. I know typically people will do these by walking, and it is so difficult to do, whether you're on a bike, in a car, walking, because you have to have this incredible level of patience and fine level control with your gimbal or whatever you're using to get this smooth. Because anything that you speed up in post-production, those jitters are going to be hyper present. And there's a little bit you can do in post with stabilizing the shot and everything, and I could tell you've done a little bit here, but
Every morning we have
a little
86.
bit of jitter. I see a little bit of I forget what Premiere calls it. Is it warp stabilization?
Every morning we have 86.
It's not bad.
Thousand.
Cool. I like you. Could have used a little bit of edge blur on this. It's a little jarring. Yeah, but that's cool. That's a cool concept. I like that. This could have used a little work. Yeah, yes, I'm going frame by frame, but I noticed this on the first playthrough was a little. It brought attention to the transition for me. And anytime you bring attention to the transitions, it's maybe not smooth enough. And smooth, it doesn't always mean slow. It just means bridged together.
1,400 seconds.
But that's cool. I mean, creativity points for you, man. I wouldn't have thought of that. That's awesome. Wow. Okay. Yeah, another mask here. It looks like. Yep. This one's quite smooth. I can tell you were probably in a car. I doubt you walked all that way because the clouds aren't moving quite fast enough for that slow of a speed initially.
Time opens a new account.
I love this.
The bank name time opens a new account for you.
I love a good reverse shot. Water pouring, leaves blowing. So cool. I mean, who doesn't like that? Is that just like seems like a dad thing? I don't know. I'm not even a dad, so I don't know why I'm saying that.
For me. It allows no balance.
Nice sound design.
It allows
Cracking.
no balance and no overdrive. If you fail to
The clock. Hearing some good sound design with the clock.
no overdrive. If you fail.
And again, I don't have to go through every shot and say this, but yeah, black levels are a lot of detail lost in the blacks here, which is fine because these shots are so well framed that I don't really even notice because my eye's going towards what needs to be looked at. And honestly, having black on the edges like this is a lot better because it almost provides a natural vignette that guides the eye towards this alleyway.
To use today's deposit, the losses.
I love these shots. Upward shots through leaves towards the sky. Kind of holds a special place for me because the first camera I ever got, the Canon M50, I took it out just to experiment with it because I'd watched a couple Peter McKinnon tutorials on the exposure triangle, you know, how to manage your shutter speed, ISO, and the aperture. So I took it out and I was just messing around with that. And the first ever shot that I got where I felt, wow, this looks like a cinematic movie, was this exact type of shot. It was shooting upwards through some leaves and, you know, seeing the sun shining through and the leaves are blowing so that you get this light filtering through it in different ways. It just was so amazing. So this type of shot holds a special place for me. Nice. And great blur in the background. Like, what? Why is the bokeh so good? This is a phone? I mean, you are quite close to what you're focusing on, so that makes sense, but what great bokeh texture. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's clipped there, but that's fine. I don't even care. I don't care. It's just such an interesting shot that that's something I'm never even gonna notice.
Even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes. Even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes. Even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes.
These shots are not quite in rhythm. They're too staggered. I think what you're going for is hitting those beats.
It's even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then
but they're just a little early. Da-dum, dum. You hear that in the music? Da-dum, dum.
vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes.
Yeah, the music right there. Dum, dum, dum. I think you're trying to hit with those, but they're just slightly early. Now, something I typically notice is it's better to be a little early with the sound than it is to be with the video. There's just something about the way our brain processes the sound when we hear it. If there's a clap in the shot and I'm adding the sound design over it to put that clap sound there, I'll typically put it just like a frame or maybe 2 frames earlier than when the clap actually happens, because our brain is just processing it. It doesn't process the sound quite as quick. So by the time we process it and then we see that visual, it lines up perfectly in our head. So you've got the flip, you've got the reverse going on here, which makes it even more dramatic. I'm seeing the visuals change first, and then the sound is coming later for me, which is a little bit distracting.
Even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes.
Yeah. Especially because this piece that you're playing in the background, there's not a lot of articulative nature to it. It's very soft, kind of ethereal, moody. And this particular electronic keyboard that's playing as the melody right there it doesn't have a distinct beginning to it. It doesn't have a sharp articulation to it. So that makes it even more important that it comes first so that we can process that and then see those visuals change along with those piano notes.
It's even of vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes.
It's a cool... Is that a cow? An ox? I should know this. I built my career off filming animals. Moving on. Cool, nice wipe. I like it. Interesting. And this is probably where some of the limitations of this phone come into play. I'm not seeing any of this spider's web, hardly at all. It could also be because it looks like there's some noise reduction going on. So that might be really clearing out a lot of this web, but that's fine. I think it's such a cool shot that, again, I don't care. You'll see a little bit of it up here. Driving. Okay, now you got interesting. And you know what? I would have got a random driving shot here. Because all of your other transitions were so smooth, this one kind of sticks out to me because it's just a basic slide off. I'd say having this go from bottom right to top left would have made it a little bit more smooth. With a feather on the edge of some sorts. I'm not sure. Or it could have just been a clean cut. You know, it's okay to do clean cuts every now and then too. We've all got to remind ourselves of that sometime. You know, not everything has to be a cool transition. So this one just sticks out to me a little bit because it's a harsh edge here. So I would have at least feathered that a little bit, or as it's going away, you know, possibly add some directional blur to this clip in particular on the left, so that as it's moving off, we get this increase in motion blur going on. That would help smooth things over a good bit, I believe. And these water shots, man, beautiful. Love the gradient of the colors going off into the distance. Very accurate to real life, because I guess you filmed it in real life, so that makes sense. And nice, we're moving backwards there in that shot, and then we continue the backwards motion here. and beautifully framed. I love it's balanced quite well. You know, we've got the path going down here. We've got more people over here playing instruments, it looks like. I would have redone this shot. You can't have a kid mooning the camera, Joseph.
4 hours in
I don't know, he's picking through stuff. He probably found some cool shells or whatever, but I would have just, yeah, I would have probably redone that shot a couple times.
there's a what? 4 hours in the night.
This, one of your, a money shot. Wow. Again, it's amazing that this phone was able to do that. And because there's so much detail and texture in this shot, due to the shells and fragments of various rocks and things like that, the grain is a lot less noticeable because it's already got this sort of macro grain, if you will, in the form of shells and things like that. So all this other grain that the phone is introducing to make up for a darker shot isn't noticeable.
Was in the night.
So that's incredible. And the water pulling away.
With the Lord 1,000 years, and
Beautiful.
1,000 years is one day.
Nice, 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 nice.
But that
I don't know if you know these people, but they're definitely wondering what you're doing.
now, O Lord, shall endure forever.
That's one thing I gotta get better at, man, is filming in public. I'm so bad at that. I'm not confident.
And
Oh,
thy
God.
remembrance unto all
What a
generations.
great final shot. This bird flying over you. I don't know if you composited that in or what, or if you just kept filming and you had another take where the bird came in and you masked it in there. I'm not seeing, because we don't have a lot of detail in this sky, because we've lost that detail, I'm not seeing any evidence of masking. So, but whatever you did, if it just happened naturally, that's cool. What an awesome way to end the video. And just the beautiful roll off into the highlights here, even if they're clipped, that's fine.
To all generations. To all generations. To all generations.
I love a good cut to black.
To all generations.
Okay, and something I haven't looked at yet is this voiceover. I have no idea what it's saying.
Every morning we have 86,400 seconds.
Every morning we have 86,000.
Every morning we have 86,400 seconds. And each day the bank name time opens a new account for you and for me. It allows no balances and no overdraft. If you fail to use the day's deposit, the loss is yours. What is your life? It's even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. 1,000 years in my sight, but it's yesterday. And there's a what? 4 hours in the night. One day is with the Lord 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. But thou, O Lord, shall endure forever, and thy remembrance unto all generations.
Okay, so it's, you know, the voiceover is generally talking about we have a limited amount of time in each day, so make it count. I still don't quite get the footage though. Like I don't understand the story paired with the voiceover.
For you and for me.
Something I might have done is place that clock reversal shot, this one, with the time reversal of the leaves blowing and the people walking backwards, because that would signify to me like, and then we're going back in time, and then all of a sudden, you know, we've got some reversal shots. So I would have paired those together likely. However, your transition out of this is just phenomenal. So it's one of those things where it's like you can make a suggestion like that, but it's going to take a lot of reworking for the other transitions. But that's something that I would possibly have looked into.
Today's deposit,
Yeah.
the loss is yours. What is your life? It's even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away.
So for a lot of these shots, I see that they might be reversed. However, it's not clear that they are. Like this one, I mean, I'm really focused on that cow ox thing, whatever it is. And then I noticed the van going backwards. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is a reversal shot. But it's just so in the background that I can't really tell. And same for this and that, you know.
1,000 years in my sight.
And that, like, I didn't even notice that car in the background the first time. I just saw movement and, you know, I wasn't able to identify the shape because I was focused on the spider. You know, the spider is in the foreground. So I would have probably paired all of these time reversal ones. And even this, like I couldn't tell it was reversed at first because I'm focusing on all these other people. And then all of a sudden I see this guy off in the background moving backwards.
Hours in the night. One day is with the Lord 1,000 years, and 1,000 years.
And I guess the symbolic message is now at the very end of the video, it's you moving forward and you're taking charge of your life, I guess. Or you're just sad that
But
you
thou, O Lord, shall endure
didn't.
forever, and thy remembrance unto all.
I don't quite know. It's very moody. I just don't know what I should be feeling by the end of this video. I know I'm not feeling happy. I'm not feeling necessarily sad. As a filmmaker, I feel angry because it's so technically good. But the point is, I don't know what the story is based on the clips. It's still super cool though. It's really cool. I mean, it feels like you just went around your town randomly and just got shots, which is totally cool. I mean, that's fun. Like sometimes you want to test your gear out and see what you can do with it. And we've all done that. But it doesn't make for a good story.
Time is short. Every one of us.
I love the crow cawing.
Every one of us here has been given the same amount of time.
Ah, and you even had a little bicycle sound there.
Here has been given the same amount of
Yeah,
time
little chain,
in a
whatever.
day.
I should know bikes. I like the bell tolling. That's a nice touch. It really bridges things together. That's the thing. When you have a lot of quick shots like this, you really need your sound design to be locked into it because we can't process everything that's going on visually that quick. So we need the sound to help us along so that we can understand it as a viewer. And that's one of those subconscious things that just really melds it together. Church bells, yeah.
1,400 seconds.
Love the drop there. And I love how the blowing leaves sound effect sort of melds into this window cracking.
It allows no balances and no overdraft. If you fail to
Okay.
use today's deposit, the loss is yours. What is your
And that clock change sound is very pronounced, comes right on that cut.
what is your
My only issue with this is the clock tower is really well exposed right here. It's the central subject. Framing is incredible. You've got the trees on either side here, and the leading lines of the road and the road lines coming towards this to focus us into that clock. But on the next shot,
even a
I do like that you have the leaves over here, but this is not the same exposure as it was in the previous shot. Which is kind of, it's tricky when you're out filming on the street, you know.
just away?
Good, and the clock ticking is getting more persistent. I like that.
1,000
Got another sub bass drop there.
1,000 years.
Yeah, sound design is phenomenal. I love this. Whenever you're doing things like this that are heavily transition focused and less story based, I mean, there's no real audio that's coming from the visuals that are informing the story. So it's important to have this type of sound design to help make those visuals go down easier. Yeah, blacks are quite black, quite low. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of clipping going on down there. That's the phone, and you made the right call. You exposed for the outdoor environment, which is the most important, because all we need to really see is you turning the wheel. We understand it's a steering wheel, so I don't need that much detail there. So overall, I think you're making some good decisions to compensate for your equipment. But that's just nitpicking a little bit. Overall, this is incredible. I love what you did with everything. The transitions are phenomenal. You did a classic technique that I use all the time, and it's when I'm working with either bad equipment or bad footage. You just take your editing skills and make it look really cool and put it in a bunch of nice transitions. And that's a big part of it. When you're not working with a lot, you have to either rely on the story or the editing to make it work. And that's exactly what you did here. You knew your limitations, you knew you were working with a vintage iPhone. So you did what you did and you pulled a Joseph on it and you made it look awesome. Like, I don't even notice that most of these shots aren't that great because the color grading of it, it's nice and contrasty. You've got some good saturation, the moodiness of the lighting. You picked a great day to film because it's mostly overcast. So that'll help your lighting scenario a lot. This would have looked a lot worse if this was in pure daylight, I imagine, or at nighttime. I feel like this phone really would have done a disservice to you if you had tried to film what Joseph filmed. Because his phone was even struggling quite a bit, so I can only imagine what yours would have been like. I'm not knocking your phone. Okay, yeah, I am. I'm knocking the phone. But yeah, overall, this is just a great lesson in it's all in what you have and how you use it. You don't need the biggest, fanciest camera that you can afford. It's all about the story and it's about how you put it together. And the two of you had interesting approaches to it. Joseph's was more story-based. He really said something with what he put together. Yours was more edit-based. You really showcased what you could do with these interesting shots and techniques that you were using while filming. So I think this was a fun little experiment between the two of you guys to see what you can accomplish with these two vastly different types of cameras. Overall, I am so impressed with what you both put together. This is incredible work. All right, let me score these puppies and send them off.